Across cultures, one word has always slithered its way into the darker corners of language. It's a word soaked in contempt, used to describe the sneaky, the deceitful, the traitorous. In war, it's the name for the coward who sells out his allies. In the streets, it's for the one who talks when they shouldn't. And in the unforgiving world of combat sports, it has become the label for fighters who trade honor for shortcuts, who abandon skill for spectacle, and who, when cornered by real competition, show their teeth, not in courage, but in cowardice, but in the ring. There's one thing you can't cheat: reality, and when it hits like a freight train. Our journey into the underbelly of the ring begins in March 2017, when David Haye swaggered into a bout against Tony Bellew. Haye, all confidence and charisma, carried himself like the victor long before a single punch had been thrown. He even dropped Bellew during an early exchange, puffing out his chest like it was all over. But arrogance is a fragile thing. As the fight wore on, it became clear that Bellew wasn't going anywhere, and Haye, he began to look less like a lion and more like a lost schoolboy, confused, uncertain, and very much in trouble. At one point, the bell may have been the only thing keeping him upright. That was when Haye's mask slipped, when he realized the fight wasn't going his way. He tried something dirty and act so desperate and underhanded that it betrayed everything the sport stands for. But Bellew had already sniffed out the rat in the ring. He dodged, fired back, and unleashed a savage barrage of punches. With each strike, Bellew wasn't just winning a match, he was delivering a message. And as Haye stumbled away, broken and bruised, the fight ended, not with cheers of victory, but with the stench of exposed deception. A little over 2 years later, in July 2019, Tommy Broadbent entered the ring to face Florin Mira. From the opening bell, Broadbent's intentions were clear. This wasn't about boxing, it was about bullying. He mocked Murakin's height, treated him like a sideshow, and taunted him with the arrogance of a man convinced he couldn't be touched. The crowd watched as the humble underdog endured the clown act with quiet patience. Then, just like that, the circus ended. Murakin delivered a devastating left hand that dropped Broadbent to the canvas. The cheers that erupted weren't just for the punch, they were for justice. Murakin followed up with mocking gestures of his own, turning the showboater into the spectacle. Enraged and desperate, Broadbent retaliated with a dirty shoulder strike, an illegal move that brought boos raining down from the crowd and a stern glare from the referee. But there was no more hiding. Murakin ended the fight with one final thunderous blow, dropping Broadbent and reminding him and the world that mockery has a short shelf life in the ring. In another chapter of dirty glory undone, Marco Huck tried to get into Alexander Usyk's head during a pre-fight press conference. Huck, ever the agitator, poked and prodded like a child testing the patience of a sleeping giant. But when fight night came, Usyk didn't respond with words, he responded with fists. One hook in particular echoed through the arena, silencing the provocateur with poetic irony. But Huck hadn't learned. When he couldn't match Usyk blow for blow, he resorted to something more sinister. As Usyk slipped during an exchange, Huck delivered a blow to the back of the head, a blatant and dangerous foul. For Usyk, the act wasn't just illegal, it was offensive. He responded not with rage, but with clinical precision, unleashing a storm of punches that left Huck battered, beaten, and sent scurrying back into the shadows from which he came. That same year, French fighter Sadiri clashed with Britain's Sam Maxwell in what was expected to be a war. Early in the fight, Sadiri knocked Maxwell down and instantly saw his opening, not just to win, but to humiliate. He hovered over the downed fighter, trying to land an illegal shot and adding insult to injury. With each passing moment, Sadiri's arrogance grew. He showboated, mocked, and turned the fight into theater. But his mistake was thinking it was already over. Maxwell, bloody but unbroken, endured the taunts. He waited, watched, and absorbed the show. Then, as Sadiri left himself open in a final act of theatrical foolishness, Maxwell unleashed a right hand from the heavens. Sadiri collapsed. His lights went out. His show stopped cold, and the ring that had been his stage became his grave. Elsewhere, two undefeated fighters, Mikhailovich and Edison Salterin, met in the ring to determine who would walk away with the IBF middleweight title. Just 15 seconds in, Salterin sent Mikhailovich to the canvas. Sensing an easy win, he rushed for the finish. But Mikhailovich, bloodied but clear-eyed, stood up and changed the entire rhythm of the fight. What followed was a matchless. Mikhailovich dismantled Salterin's game plan, turning the ring into his classroom and Salterin into his student. And when Salterin realized he couldn't win on merit, he resorted to what had become familiar in this gallery of rodents: foul play. He struck after the bell, not once, but twice. But if his goal was to rattle Mikhailovich, he had miscalculated. Fueled by rage and disgust, Mikhailovich turned those illegal blows into motivation. He exploded with combinations that dropped Salterin again and again until the referee had no choice but to stop the fight. The scoundrel had been exposed and punished. And the belt went not to the rat, but to the lion. One of the most brutal cases of humiliation came when a roided-up bodybuilder named Mikey CV challenged the feared Russian warrior Alexander Emelianenko. At the weigh-in, Mikey attempted to start the mental war early, throwing his cap in Emelianenko's face, a gesture that screamed disrespect and desperation. But Emelianenko didn't react. Not then. He waited until the fight. When the bell rang, Mikey discovered the hard truth: biceps don't absorb punches. Emelianenko carved through him like a blade through butter. The steroid-fueled frame crumbled under real pressure, and instead of finishing him quickly, Emelianenko chose a slower justice. He punished Mikey with every shot, prolonging the agony like a cat playing with its prey. Finally, with nothing left to prove and no more reason to delay, Emelianenko delivered the final blow, reclassifying his cocky opponent from a fighter to a footnote. And then there was Peter McNeely. It was Tyson's first fight after prison, and McNeely, full of loudmouth bravado, declared he'd be the one to knock out Iron Mike. "I'm Hurricane Peter McNeely from Medfield, Massachusetts," he shouted, "and on Saturday night, I'm kicking Tyson's ass." The world chuckled, but McNeely wasn't joking, at least not until the first punch. He came out wild, throwing himself at Tyson like a charging rhino. But Tyson, calm, composed, terrifying, ate the rush like breakfast. As McNeely danced and flailed, trying to show he was unfazed, the reality set in. He couldn't win this. And in one final moment of desperation, McNeely committed the coward's sin, trying to foul his way into control. Tyson didn't hesitate. He landed a left hand so brutal, it silenced the hype, the confidence, and the man all at once. McNeely was done. He had come to see if Tyson still had it. He left with his answer. These are not stories of fights. These are stories of reckoning. Moments when cocky men, pretending to be kings, found themselves dethroned by the truth of the sport. In the ring, there is no shortcut to greatness. You can dance, you can mock, you can foul, but when that bell rings, there is no escape from the hands of justice. And justice always has a name. What do you think of fighters who use dirty tactics to get ahead? Have you ever rooted for someone who got humbled in the ring? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this breakdown of boxing's dirtiest downfall moments, hit that like button, subscribe to Ring Kings, and turn on notifications so you never miss a beat.